been talking with people in the neighborhood all through Pegram, just hearing their stories, how long they've been here, but also hearing, their concerns about this property,
right,
and what's happening with it. So you can just share and
Well, the people that bought and developed that property was Bill and Mildred Gossage, who were good friends of ours years and years before we bought the property out here. Then I bought this probably in '60 or '61, and we built out here ourselves. And the road wasn't developed until probably '64, '65, somewhere along in there. It's really been a nice community, and we always liked it. Of course, when our kids were all small, there was no houses, and they played in the woods and what have you. And but we have quite a few acres back in there left, and my daughter, we gave her the land for that house up there, and have a son living on the back 40 back there, and so it's a kind of been a family deal. We built a house ourselves, physically built it ourselves. I mean, drove every nail in it. I'd work at the office all day and come out here and work to midnight, and back in the office at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, and of course the highway back then, it's probably 20 to 50 times more cars now than it was then. We were really out in the country. None of the shopping center was developed back then. Of course now it's the burned part of it, but there was one service station and the post office. And the post office was in the building there where Fiddle and Pick is, on that little room off to the side there. And that was pretty well Pegram at that time. And of course, Houston Easdale developed the back part of the farm here. Of course, all this property here was the old Levy Dairy Farm, and it had about 300 acres in it when. Of course, Houston Easdale and his family owns Purity Dairies, so that's how he got involved in the farm. And Bill and I both bought quite a few acreage from him, and went from there. But you mentioned earlier about the wrecks on the highway. We've seen some very serious ones and probably we'll average at least 3 a year that will hit the fence down there or go off the other side. And I don't know how long you've been here, but you've probably seen the sign down there the direction east or west, and no telling how many of those things have been erected, and there's 0 down there right now. But we've seen real nasty ones. Now, I think one of the worst ones I saw, it was probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Somebody was ringing our front doorbell, and I went to the door, and it was a kid that's maybe 19 or 20, just blood all over him. And he finally got through to me that they had a wreck, and there was 3 of them. And I got dressed and went down, and of course called 911. And they was coming around, going westbound, and he lost control coming around this curve and off that little hill up here, and went through my fence. And we got down there, the driver, one of the rails had gone through his face, and it was just I wished I'd never seen it. And then we found one of the boys laying in my field out here. He was trying to make it up here to the house too, and the one with the rail Of course, he died instantly, and but I stayed down there with him until the medical examiner came out and did their thing. So it was about daylight, but before we got that wrapped up. Then exactly to the day, a year later, another one came down in the same direction, probably the same speed, too fast, but he didn't make the curve either, and it killed him. And he was in his upper teens, and the passenger was hurt pretty badly, but he survived it. And it, like I say, we probably have 2 or 3 a year that runs off and into our fence, and it's really a bad curve in both directions. Now, when I come off the hill from Pigram, I really get nervous turning left here because the vehicle's coming off. You know, it's just, you don't see it until you're within a couple of 100 feet of the car that stopped, and that's what happens to our sign down here. Last fall, a truck run through it, just avoiding the car that was turned into to the Beverly Hills. But it's a dangerous highway, very dangerous. And I really hate to see anything develop commercially over here. It's residential, and of course we had restrictions on the property many years ago, but I'm sure they've expired now, because that's back in the early '60s. But it's been a good home for us. We lived here all this time. We lived in Florida since '99, I believe it was, and after COVID, we came back up here permanently. It's got too old to take care of ourselves, so we've got our wonderful kids that takes care of us up here. But whatever we can get our folks to do to stop this thing from being commercial, let's put every bit of effort we can into it. I'd really like to see it remain residential. My wife and I, we're in our 90s, but we don't have much time to worry about it, but our kids live here, and they'd like to see it remain commercial, residential also. Once commercial starts, it doesn't stop. It's just good to have neighbors like you guys and our family around here that we don't want to see anything that our people can do to help us keep it out. I'd like to see it. I hope everybody up here behind us is with us in keeping it residential rather than commercial. I've had people to ask me about buying the front of mine down there. Matter of fact, I got 4 or 5 letters I was looking at yesterday that they want to go commercial with it, but not on my watch. It'll never happen. I've got the best view in Nashville, you know, with a veterans graveyard across the street. Nobody can ever build there, so from now on it'll look the same way. I just, for you younger generation, I just hope you can stop it. Let's do our best.
Let's do our best.
Yep.